Welcome to Neshei Chabad's Zoom. Hilchos Bais Habchirah as the Rabbi said in 3 weeks. We will start with putting tzedakah in the pushka. Rabbi Zara is to add in tzedakah and learning Hilchos Bais Habchirah. We will start with putting corn and tzedakah. And now we will recite the Rebbe's Kapitel Kuf Chadalet. Shir Hamalais LeDavid Lulei Adonai Shehaya Lanu Yaimar No Yisrael Lulei Adonai Shehaya Lanu Bekum Aleinu Adam Azai Chaim Belaunu Macharais Apam Banu Azai Amayim Shetafunu Nachla Vara Nafshenu Azai Vara Nafshenu Hamayim Azedonim Baruch Adonai Shelai Nesananu Teref L'Shineim Nafshenu Ketzi Painim Lata Mipach Yekshim Apach nishbar v'anachnu nimlotnu. Ezreinu b'shem Adonai eisei shomayim v'aretz. Rebbe says Kapitel Kuf Chaf Hei. Shir ha'mahalais habaytchim b'Adonai kehar tzion lo imait le'olam yeshev. Yerushalayim harim saviv la v'Adonai saviv le'amoi. Me'ata ve'ad olam. Ki lo yanuach shevet haresh al goyal tzadikim leman lo yishlechu tzadikim b'avlasam yedeim. Heitiva Adonai latayvim lisharim bilibaisam amatim akakalaisam yeglichem Adonai es paile oven shalom al Yisrael. We will say now together Kapitel Chav, the schus of and the safety of the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael and the soldiers. Everybody should return back safe, and the hostages. Kapitel Chav. Lamnatseach Mizmar David Yahamcha Adonai b'yom tzara Yisagefcha Hashem Elohei Yaakov Yishlach Ezracha Mikodesh Umitzion Yisadeka Yizkar Kol Minchaisecha Ve'elascha Yidash Nesela Yiten Lecha Chilvavecha V'chol Atzazcha Yemale Neranena B'shuasecha U'v'shem Eloheinu Nidgoi Yemale Adonai Kol Mishalesecha Ato Yadaiti Ki Yoshi Adonai Mashiachai Ya'nehu mishmei kachai b'gevurais yesha yeminoi. Eile v'rechev ve'eile v'susim v'anachnu b'shem Adonai Eloheinu naskir. Heima karu v'nafalu v'anachnu kamnu v'nisaydad. Adonai Yeshia hamelech ya'neinu v'yom kareinu. Yechi Adonenu Mereinu v'Rabbeinu Melech HaMoshiach le'olam v'od. We will now hear beautiful, exciting shir in Hilchos Bais Habchirah from the Shliach to Mexico City, Rabbi Mendel Mayzlesh.
Thank you very much. To make a summary of the past 2 shiurim, the first shir we spoke about the importance of learning Bais Habchirah. We said that when we learn about it, we're building. We mentioned also the Rebbe Sikh of Tavshin and Aleph, that now, the Rebbe spoke about it then, about that year, and for sure, since then to now, it's only stronger. The Rebbe said that now we're not only learning about the Beis HaMikdash because we missed the Beis HaMikdash, because it pains us that we don't have it from the past, but now, being that Mashiach is so close, Mashiach is about to come, so the Rebbe says that now our learning about the Beis HaMikdash is Ba'ifan Achel Legamrei, with a focus to the future, knowing that any second Mashiach is coming. Sorry. We're doing it with a focus on the future, that Mashiach is coming any second, and with a shteikikus for the Beis HaMikdash that we're about to see. And also we're learning it halacha l'maaseh, being that this is about to be. The last year we spoke about the shomrim, the guards who would guard the Beis HaMikdash. We explained that the reason why they would guard it was for kavod, to give kavod to the Beis HaMikdash. Maybe just to add one point from the Rebbe Sichos about yesterday's shir, the Rebbe asks in a Sikha and Tavshin Nun, why today we don't have guards to guard the place of the Beis HaMikdash. We know that Shechina leizazim imkeima, the Shechina doesn't move from its place, and it's there forever. It's there now also. So why shouldn't we have guards guarding the Beis Hamikdash? The Rebbe brings a whole back and forth why maybe we should or shouldn't have those guards. But the Rebbe finishes off saying that Beruchnios, for sure we should have it. And we do have it. What would it mean to guard the Beis Hamikdash Beruchnios? And the Rebbe explains that every one of us in our lives, we have objects that are chayil, and we have objects that are kodesh. When we hold special and we guard dear objects that are kodesh, chumash, the lapushka, a siddur, when we hold special and we guard dear objects of kedusha, that's shmiras hamikdash in our times. We're going to move on today with the next topic, and today we're going to focus on the Heichel. We're going to start off with the Rambam. We're going to start with Halacha Hey, and then we're going to move on to the Mishnayos and Midas. We're not going to go by order. We're going to learn the Mishnayos that have to do with this Halacha and the Rambam, and then we're going to see also a pasuk in Yechezkel that's on the same topic, talking about the Heichel in the Beis Hamikdash. So let's get started. We're now learning Hilchos Beis Habchirah, Perek Aleph, Halacha Hey. We're going to show it on the screen. It's the first text, Hilchos Beis Habchirah, Perek Aleph, Halacha Hey. Okay. So let's see it inside. Here. Ve'elu ein advarim shein ikar bebinyan habayis. These are the main points that are important in the Beis Hamikdash. Oisin by Kodesh, ve'Kodesh HaKadoshim, ve'yiyeh lifnei HaKodesh makim echad hu hanikra ulam. So the Rambam is talking about three parts of the Heichel. In general, when we see the Beis Hamikdash, I have a model with me, so let me show it here. Hopefully we could see it. So this is the Beis Hamikdash. I don't know if it's not so clear in the screen, but we see here the Beis Hamikdash. And it has different parts. The main part that we're going to be talking about is the Heichel, the structure, the binyan that we have in the Beis Hamikdash. That's what we're going to be mentioning now. So the Heichel has three parts. The Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Kodesh is where the menorah is, the Shulchan, the Mizbeach HaKteres. The Kodesh HaKadoshim is obviously where the Arin is, where the Kohen Gadol would go in on Yom Kippur. And before the Kodesh, there's like a hallway, and it's called the Ulam. Soon we're going to see it in the map. All these three together are called the Heichel. And around the Heichel, there's another partition, a little bit further away from the Heichel, like the poles that were around the Mishkan, forming the Chatzer of the Mishkan. Shayu Bamidbar, the Mishkan and the Midbar had this area surrounded by poles. Whatever is surrounded in this partition is called the Azara. And everything together, the Azara and the Heichel, is called the Mikdash. Let's move on now to the pictures and to the maps to understand exactly what we're talking about. In the picture that we're about to see, we're going to see the Heichel. The Heichel is the structure of the Beis Hamikdash. So if it to come onto the screen. So here we see in front of us the structure of the Heichel. We see steps going up to the Heichel. We see the doorway to the Heichel. That maybe if we have a chance, we're going to talk about it more in length. We see the curtains opening. The curtains in that door. It doesn't have a door, it's just an opening, and further in there's a door entering the Heichel. And this Heichel is divided into three. By the way, this picture would be the Heichel the way it looks the way it's described in Yechezkel in the third Beis Hamikdash. Let's move on to another picture of the Heichal. We'll move on to the next picture. This would be just a picture of a design of what the Heichal would look like. We're going to move on to the next one. Here we see an above view of the Heichal without the walls, obviously, but we see the three parts that were mentioned. All the way towards the back, you could see the Aron, and that's obviously in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You see the red line, which would resemble the Pareiches, the curtain that divided between the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKadoshim. In the second Beis Hamikdash, there was one Amma in between, which most probably this picture is resembling that. Then closer to us, we see the Menorah, the Shulchan, the Mizbeach HaKteres, and they are in the Kodesh. And then we see a wall dividing between that, and we see a thinner, longer space. That is the Ulam, the hallway when one enters the Heichal. And these three together will be considered the Heichal. All these three together are the Heichal, the structure that we saw a moment before. Towards the edge, towards the corner of this picture, we could see a little bit of the Mizbeach. The Mizbeach is in the Chatzer of the Beis Hamikdash. And then we could see all around also the floor that we see around all the way till the corners of this floor will all be considered the Chatzer of the Mishkan, or in the Beis Hamikdash, it's going to be called the Azara. And around it, there's a wall resembling the Kalei HaMishkan, the poles that were around the Chatzer of the Mishkan. In the Beis Hamikdash, whatever is within these walls is called the Azara. The Azara is where the Karbanis were bought, where the where the Mizbeach is, where the Karbanis were shechted, and so on. We spoke yesterday also a little bit about the Azara, that only the Malchei Beis David were able to sit in the Azara, and how the Shomrim, the different guards, would guard outside of the Azara, the different doors, and outside of the four corners of the Azara. Let's move on now to the Mishnayos, Maseches Midis, and we're going to learn the seventh Mishnah in Perek Dalid of Maseches Midis, which is equivalent to what we're learning now in the Rambam. We're going to move on to the next text. Okay, so Min HaMizrach LaMa'irav. Right now we're going to go through and see how wide and how big the Heichal is that we just spoke about in the Rambam, just the structure, not the Azara. We're just going to be talking about the Heichal, which means, again, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Kodesh, and the Ulam. So the Mishnah says like this, Min HaMizrach LaMa'irav, from east to west, Meya Amma, there are 100 Amas. Let's see, let's give the count of how we see the 100 Amas. We're going to learn it in the Mishnah, and then we're going to see a map to understand it well. Kaisa Ulam Chamish, the wall of the Heichal is 5 Amas. The thickness of the wall is 5 Amas. The Ulam Achas Esri, and the Ulam itself is 11 Amas. The hallway before coming into the Kodesh is 11 Amas long. Kaisa LaHeichal Sheish, and the wall of the Heichal is 6 Amas. These are very thick walls. So again, going into the Heichal, the wall is a little bit thicker, and it's 6 Amas wide. V'teichai arboim amma. When you go in through this doorway, passing this wall, so you have 40 Amas of the Kodesh. The Kodesh is what we saw before, where the Menorah is, and the Lechem Hapanim, the Shulchan, and the Mizbeach HaKteres. Amma Traksin. Then we have an Amma of where the Pareiches is, and we have 2 Pareiches, we have 2 curtains on each side of this Amma. Esrim Amma Leveis Kodesh HaKadoshim. Then we have another 20 Amas, which is how big the Kodesh HaKadoshim is. Kaisa LaHeichal Sheish. Now we have another wall, the back of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. The wall in back of the Kodesh HaKadoshim is 6 Amas. The Hata Sheish. There was a room behind it, They were called Ta'im. And this room, is 6 amis wide. V'kaisel chamish, and the wall behind this room is 5 amis. Minatzafin ladarim. So till here we just completed 100 amis from east east to west, from the east to the west of the Heichal. Now we're going to go from the north to the south. Minatzafin ladarim, shivim amma. From Tzafin to Darim, we're going to find 70 amis. Kaisel HaMesiba Chamish. The Mesiba was a ramp going around the Heichal, and it would take someone up to finally be able to climb up to the roof. And maybe, Be'ezus Hashem, in one of our shiurim, we're going to try to speak about this as well. VaMesiba Shalish. This space for the ramp was 3 amis. Kaisel Hata Chamish. Then we have the wall of where these rooms are, these time. The wall is 5 amis. V'ata sheish, the room, just like before, just like the one behind the Kiddush HaKadoshim, the one on the side of the Heichal is also 6 amis. Kaisel HaHeichal sheish, the wall of the Heichal is 6 amis, just like the wall behind the Kiddush HaKadoshim. The walls on the sides were also 6 amis. So basically, the walls around the Kiddush and the Kiddush HaKadoshim are all 6 amis. V'teichai esrim amma, within we have 20 amis. This is the length of the Kiddush HaKadoshim and the Kiddush, because now we're going from north to south. Then we're hitting the next wall on the other side, which are 6 amis. Then we have a room which is 6 amis. The wall of this room on the other side is 5 amis. Then there was a room which is called Hiradas Hamayim. Again, maybe we'll talk about it in a different shir. It's 3 amis. V'akaisel chamish, and the wall is 5 amis. So until here we just hit 70 amis of the width, the length of the heichal. V'ulam oidif olav chamish esri amish min hatzafin v'chamish esri amma min hadarim. So the heichal itself is 70 amis, including the rooms and the ramps around it, and the ulam, which is the hallway, which we see before going into the Kodesh, and the Kodesh before going into the Kodesh, has an extra 15 amis to the side. We're going to see it in a second. Hu aya nikra Beis HaChalifos and Beis HaChalafos, these two sides, the extra 15 amis, are called the House of the Knives. Shesham Gainzin es Hasakinin, and there they would put away the knives. The Beis HaMikdash is Hashem's house, and there's a special covet that we have towards Hashem's house. And one of the things were that if a knife would become puzzle, they wouldn't fix it. They would put it away and they would bring a new one. So the knives that weren't being used, they would put them into this Beis HaChalifos, where they would put away the knives that were used for the karbanis. The heichal is narrow behind and it's wider from the front, and it looks like a lion. We see that the pasuk describes the Beis HaMikdash as a lion because it was shaped. When someone would see the Beis HaMikdash from far, the heichal, it had a shape of a lion. Just like a lion that is more narrow towards the back and wider towards the front, so to the heichal is more narrow in the back and more wide in the front. Basically, the ulam sticks out more and the back is more narrow, and that made it look like a lion. Let's see the picture. Let's see the 2 maps over here, which will give the dimensions from east to west, and then we're going to see the map which shows the measurements from north to south. Let's see the next 2 maps. Okay, so here we could see from Mizrach to Mayra, from east to west. So the front is, so first we see the ulam, then we see the kodesh. It says on it teicha heichal, and then we see the base kodesh hakadoshim. So let's go through everything. When you look at the left side, you'll see the count of amis. The first wall is 5 amis. The space of the ulam is 11 amis. The wall of the heichal, the front wall towards the mizrach, is six amis. The kodesh is 40 amis. We see 1 amma between the kodesh and the kodesh hakadoshim. If you look within, it says amatraxin, and it has a curtain on each side. Then we see 20 amis of the kodesh hakadoshim, 6 amis of the ta. Oh, sorry, 6 amis. 6 amis is the wall behind the Kodesh HaKadoshim. 6 amis is the ta, and 5 amis to the back wall behind the ta. Let's move on to the next map. Here we see it from Tzafin to Dardim, from north to west. We see the first 15 amis. That's the extra part that the ulam is sticking out further away from the rooms and the heichal, from the heichal itself. And again, if you look at the left side, you'll see the amount of amis. Then we see a total of 70 amis, which start with 5 amis of the wall of the mesiba, of the ramp. Then we have 3 amis of the ramp itself. 5 amis is the wall of the ta, where the rooms are. Then we have 6 amis. We see 5 rooms. The white spaces are supposed to be rooms, resemble rooms. And these rooms are 6 amis wide. Then we have 6 amis for the wall of the heichal, the wall of the kodesh and the kodesh hakadoshim. 20 amis is the kodesh and kodesh hakadoshim, the space within. Then we have the exact same count on the other side. 6 is the wall, 6 are the ta, 5 are the wall of the ta. 3 on the other side is not a mesiba, rather it's called Bais Samayim. And then we have the last wall, which is the wall of the Bais Samayim. And then we're going to see that another 50 amis are sticking out from the ulam for the Beis HaChalifos. So the heichal itself is 70 amis, and the ulam, the hallway, has an extra 15 amis on each side, making it a total of 100 amis. So the ulam is 100 amis long, and the heichal from east to west is also 100 amis long. Now we're going to move on to the psukim in Yecheskel. I brought a pasuk also that speaks about the heichal. Again, we're not going in order. We're trying to bring psukim that are speaking about the same topic that we're talking about in the halacha and in the Mishnah. So Perek Memaliv, pasuk Memtes. Eirecha ulam. We're talking about the length of the ulam. We spoke about in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is speaking about the second Beis Hamikdash. And here we're talking about the future Beis Hamikdash. Eirecha ulam esrim amma. The ulam is long 20 amis, like we just saw. V'reichav. Oh, sorry. Eirecha ulam esrim amma. We're going to see. Rashi explains. We're talking about the space of the hallway that's equivalent to the space that we have in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and that's 20 amis. V'reichav ashtei esrei amma, and it's the width of the ulam is 11 amis, just like we mentioned before in the Mishnah. Ashtei esrei amma u'vamaylis asher yalu elav. There were steps going up to it. V'amudim el ha'elim echad mipai v'echad mipai, and there were pillars on each side of the door, one on one side and one on the other side. Elim are certain pillars that are described in the future in the third Beis Hamikdash that were throughout the doorways. There were also special elim in the door to the heichal, and there's one on each side. I'll read one Rashi. V'amudim ala elim, that there were 2 special pillars next to the doorways. Next to the pillars to the mashkev, next to the door. Tachas yachinu vayaz shayu b'mikdash rishon. In the first Beis Hamikdash, there were 2 special pillars. If I'm not mistaken, they had crowns and they were called yachinu vayaz. And in the third Beis Hamikdash, these two pillars that are described over here, these two Elim are equivalent to Yachin Ubayas that are described in the second Beis Hamikdash. When Rashi speaks about the steps, Rashi brings down that these are the 12 steps that are spoken about in the second Beis Hamikdash. These are the steps that go up to the Heichal in the third Beis Hamikdash. Okay, so we just spoke about the Heichal. We could go on to the next picture, which is also a small map showing what we mentioned over here. I hope we could understand what we're talking about here. Basically, the first entrance where we see two circles, these two circles resemble the two pillars that are within the doorway, which resemble Yachin and Bayaz. We see 5 amis are the thickness of the wall, just like we described in the second Beis Hamikdash. This is the way it's brought down about the third Beis Hamikdash. We see 11 amis of the opening of the ulam, just like it's described in the second Beis Hamikdash, like we described before. The 20 amis that we see over here are equivalent. Right? The 20 amis that we see over here are equivalent to the space within of the Kodesh and the Kodesh HaKadosh. Okay, so we finished the part of the shir that has to do with the Rambam, Mishnayos, and Yechezkel, and let's speak a little bit about a Sikha of the Rebbe, which speaks about the kedusha of the Beis Hamikdash in general. I'm going to mention a Sikha now. It's brought down in Chela Gimel of Likutei Sichos in Parashas Truma, and it's a beautiful Sikha that the Rebbe speaks about the Beis Hamikdash in general. When we speak about the Beis Hamikdash and we talk about a place that we could go up and go and feel close to Hashem, so the Rebbe asks an interesting question. What do you mean that Hashem is Sheikhin, Hashem dwells within the Beis Hamikdash? We know, and every child knows, that Hashem is here, Hashem is there, Hashem is truly everywhere. Leis asar parnei minei. There is no space that Hashem is not there. Hashem is truly everywhere. So what do you mean that there is a special house that Hashem is there? Hashem is everywhere. And the Rebbe explains, yes, Hashem is everywhere. No matter where you are, throughout the whole entire world, Hashem is everywhere. However, we don't always feel Hashem's presence. Hashem is everywhere. But if you're talking about his galus eleiki, a godly revelation, so that happens only in special places. For the godly revelation, you need special Aveda, the Aveda of the Karbanis, and the special Aveda that was done in the Beis Hamikdash. This brings the godly revelation in a way that a Yid could feel it, that you could feel close to Hashem and have Hashem's presence in a revealed way, in a way that each one of us could feel it. As it says that when we would go up to the Beis Hamikdash, it was lirais v'lirais, in order to show ourselves, to come and be present in front of Hashem, and so to see, to feel Hashem's presence. So talking about that Hashem is everywhere, yes, Hashem is everywhere, but the revelation to feel godliness, to feel Hashem, that is especially in the Beis Hamikdash. Now, the Rebbe takes this to a further point. So we want to feel Hashem's revelation, and in order to feel it, so we need to have a special Aveda, the Aveda of the Karbanis, and in general, the Aveda in the Beis Hamikdash, the Teres, the Menorah, and so on, everything else that was done in the Beis Hamikdash, a special Aveda to feel Hashem's revelation. So the Rebbe continues and asks, one second, it's for me to feel it. Hashem is everywhere, but I want to feel it. So why can't we just bring the Karbanis anywhere? I'm talking here now from Mexico, and many are joining from all around the world. Why can't I just do that Avaida here? Actually, the Likutei Torah this week, Parshas Pinchas, asks this specific question. Why are Karbanis and the Avaida and the Beis HaMikdash limited to a specific Gashmius, a physical place? Only on the Harabayis, like we mentioned in the previous halachas in the Rambam, that since the Beis Hamikdash was built in Yerushalayim, it can't be moved, and we could only bring the Karbanis there. Why? If it's for me to feel it, I should be able to bring a Karban right here in the backyard, and be able to have this godly revelation. There was a time that Yidden were allowed to build bamis, which means that you were able to build literally a mizbeach in your backyard and bring a carbon to Hashem. It's brought down. For example, when Shimshon's parents build a carbon and the malach goes up in the flame on the mizbeach, so that was a bama. That was a mizbeach that they built outside of the Beis Hamikdash. From when the Beis Hamikdash was built, there were periods in history that we were able to build bamis. From when the Beis Hamikdash was built, we can't bring a bama anymore. We could only bring karbanis in the Beis Hamikdash on the mizbeach, and obviously the madrega, the level of these karbanis that are only permitted to be bought in the Beis Hamikdash, are on a higher level. Different karbanis weren't allowed to be bought on the bamis, only in the mizbeach in the Beis Hamikdash. So again, why are we limiting it to a makim gashmi, to a physical place? And to understand this, which means it's just like any other place in the world. I could look for it on Google Maps. I could go there with Waze. I could type in Hashem's house and be directed to go right, left, up, whatever, and end up in this area where the Shekhinah dwells, Hashem's home. Why is it a physical space? Shouldn't it be a spiritual idea? And if you want to say a concept of Avodah, and wherever I am, I should be able to do this Avodah and connect to Hashem. And then the Rebbe brings this further. We have Gashmius Dika Karbanis, and we have the Ruchnius Dika Avodah, the spiritual concept of Karbanis, which today is done through davening. And davening also we connect with the Makim Gashmi. We direct ourselves towards Eretz Yisrael, towards the Mekayim HaMikdash. If this is a spiritual Avodah, we're connecting to Hashem through davening. Davening is Avodah Shebalev. Again, why should we direct ourselves towards a physical direction? Mizrach, for example, in our case. If it's something spiritual, it shouldn't be connected. It shouldn't involve a Gashmius Dika Tenuah, a Gashmius Dika place, a Gashmius Dika space. And talking about the Beis Hamikdash, today we learned something so precise. Every wall, every space, every hallway, exactly 11 ames, exactly 6 ames. When we talk about the Arin, the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which was exactly 20 ames, and the Arin itself, the Arin, which is the Kli, which expresses the Gili, the revelation of Hashem's Shekhinah, which was exactly 2.5 ames and 1.5 ames. Why is it limited to a certain amount of space, to a certain measurement? If we're talking about something spiritual and godly, shouldn't it be above space, above limitations, above measurements? Why is it limited to a specific space? And here the Rebbe brings a very geschmacke point, which will give us an understanding of the exact precise structure and measurement of the Beis Hamikdash, which will also give us a geschmack when we're learning Midis and we're learning Yecheskel, which sometimes we could consider it a little bit maybe boring. Why are we talking and being so particular about the amount of ames? 11, 6, 5, exactly 5 ames, exactly 6 ames. Why is it so important to mention the exact sizes? Why does it have to be an exact measurement? We're talking about something spiritual that should be beyond limitations. Why are we limiting it to a specific space, only in Eretz Yisrael, only in Yerushalayim, only on the Bais, only in its specific exact place for the Mizbeach and for the Kodesh HaKadoshim, and so on? So the Rebbe explains like this. We're not just looking for a spiritual feeling, we're looking for a godly revelation. When we talk about Hashem, Hashem is not limited, obviously, in Gashmios, but Hashem is also not limited in Ruchnios. Hashem is not limited in being unlimited. Ruchnios, certain levels of revelation, represent the unlimited. However, that cannot come in the limitations of the world because they are limited in being unlimited. When we talk about Hashem, Atzmus, the essence of Hashem, godliness, Hashem is not limited even in not being limited. Hashem could be expressed also in the limitations of the world. Just like Hashem could be unlimited, Hashem is not limited in being unlimited. He could also be expressed in the limitations of the world in the same exact way. He's beyond being unlimited. and not being able to come into the limitations of the world. In Lashon HaKodesh, this is called Nimna Hanimnois. Absolutely no limitations, including not being limited in being unlimited. So a Gilui, which could be in any place of the world and not bound to any and not expressed in any measure of limitations, is not a godly revelation. When we're talking about a godly revelation, which is revealing the Atzmus, the essence of Hashem, we have an incredible combination. Limitations to the most delicate number is 6 amis, 5 amis, 20 amis of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And on the other hand, total unlimitation, the connection of both. And the example that's brought is the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which we learned about today. It's brought down that in the Kodesh HaKadoshim, there was a special miracle, that being that the Kodesh HaKadoshim was so exact in its measurements and the yarding itself as well, when you would measure one side of the Kodesh HaKadoshim to the other, it would be 20 amis, like we learned today. However, when you would measure from one wall to the Arein, you would end up with the Arein was in the middle. When you would measure from the wall to the Arein, it would measure 10 amis. When you would measure from the other side of the Arein till the wall in front of it, it would also include 10 ames, but that doesn't make any sense. If the Arein is in the middle and we're skipping 1.5 ames or 2.5 ames, depending to what direction you're measuring from or to, so there should have been 2.5 ames less or 1.5 ames less. If the room in total is 20 ames and you're measuring from the wall till the kli of the Arein, we should have been missing 2.5 ames or 1.5 ames. However, it would still measure 10 ames till the Arein and 10 ames from the Arein till the wall. Here we see something miraculous which expresses the Gilui of the essence of Hashem. Like we explained, Nimna HaNimnois. On one hand, Gashmias, and we have measurements, limitations of the world. But even the limitations of the world connect with the with the unlimited. A connection of the unlimited and the limit and the limit and what is limited. And that expresses the Kayach HaAtzmos. Again, that Hashem is not only limited in being unlimited, but also connects with the limitations of the world, and they both express in the same moment. If it would be just plain Ruchnios, then it wouldn't be bound to limitations of 6 amis and 5 amis and 20 amis and 2.5 amis. But when we have Nimna and Nimnois, we have them both coming together. An exact 2.5 amis, an exact 1.5 amis, an exact 20 amis of the Kodesh HaKadoshim. And however, in the same moment, we also have that it doesn't take space, it takes space, it doesn't take space at the same moment, expressing the Atzmus, the essence of Hashem. So going back, we're talking now about the Beis HaMikdash, and the revelation that we're bringing about is again we're bringing about the essence of Hashem, which Dafka expresses itself in a specific place, a Makim Gashmi, and that Makim Gashmi has a Gilui also of Nimna HaNimnois, connecting the limitations and the unlimited at the same moment, revealing the essence of Hashem. Like we mentioned in the last 2 shiurim, when we're learning these concepts, and in general, when a Yid involves himself in building his Mikdash Me'at, by doing Torah and mitzvahs, we are building our personal Beis HaMikdash. The mitzvahs that we do are also with Chafetzim Gashmim. The mitzvahs are done with physical objects, which express this exact point, the same concept, that through Gashmius Dike Pu'ulas and Gashmius Dike objects, but that are mitzvahs, we connect the Gashmius with the Ruchnius, expressing the essence of Hashem and bringing about the coming of Mashiach and the building of the third Beis HaMikdash. May it be speedily now in our days.